This time on Quest for the Open, I get artistic, find the middle of the club face,
That's Shank. A Tom Hanks.
and finally finish building my perfect set of clubs.
These are my golf clubs. Now, it's taken about 2 years to get them together, but I'm pretty close to saying they are perfect. So I signed with Titleist at the beginning of 2025, and I had my best season ever last year. But now we stand on the precipice of a new season with new goals. We're going to go through my bag from driver to ball, talking through the choices, but also how you can make better decisions for your bag. Now, we're starting this video here in beautiful England, but it is freezing. So we are going to head over to the Titleist Performance Institute in California, where I'm going to be going through a full tour fitting for my wedges.
So I'm currently rocking the GT3, and it's probably the most complete driver that I've ever had. So I was using the Ping G430 Max 10K in 2024, don't miss saying that, and it was an incredibly forgiving driver. But I knew I was losing distance with that club through excessive backspin. Because I was too dry. Next to each other. So when you're picking a driver, you really want to be able to balance two key things. Now that's forgiveness and that's distance. Now it's fairly easy to get a driver that does one of these things, but to get a driver that does both, that's tricky. Now, things which go into deciding these two things are factors which are linked to you. Now, these are such things as strike, and with strike I mean location on face. You have swing direction, so how that club is moving through impact. And then that thing that we are all looking for, club head speed. And the club interacts with these things in different ways. So you have things like loft, you have lie angle of the club, things like COG positioning, and then shaft. Now all these things link together to give you ball flight, except if you top it, because that's not going to get very far at all. Now, this is obviously a 2D graph, so use your imagination here. Why I can't find a ruler anywhere, and I'm using one. What is even that called? What's that called? A protractor?
Nope.
And on these you have height and you have distance. Now height and direction, they combine a number of different things. What color shall we go for? Have we used this one yet? No. So you've got ball speed, launch angle, almost said launch, direction, and spin. Now, when you're picking a driver or you go for a fitting, the idea here is that you can tweak a number of these things to have a different outcome on the graph. So, if for example, you're striking the ball pretty consistently out of the heel, if you can switch that strike into the center of the club face, that is probably going to increase your ball speed. It's going to improve launch angle, direction, and spin. So that is something which can have an effect on all of these key factors. Obviously, club head speed, that's going to have a link to ball speed and spin, also launch angle at times. So you can tweak your swing to cause effects, but you can also tweak your loft, for example. So a lower loft is generally going to give you a little bit more ball speed. It's going to affect launch angle. All these things can be intertwined and intermingled to give you the changes that you want. Now all of this is to cause a ball flight, which is going to give you the maximum distance. Now with the Ping that we've already spoken about, my ball flight had a really good launch. We know that it was forgiving, but what used to happen, it used to drop out of the air and pretty much stop where it landed. So it didn't really have much roll once it hit the ground. Now that is because the spin was too high and the launch angle was also too high. Now, one of the reasons it was so forgiving is because the center of gravity in the club head was pushed a long way back. Now, that did improve forgiveness, but it also increased the amount of spin that I was having. So I knew that I was going to pick up distance when I went into the GT3 fitting last year. However,
I know a little push down the right side, but what did that feel like?
that felt better. Actually felt a lot better.
So there's the heel CG
Yeah.
coming into play. That's 2 dimples heel, and we're down the right center. We're not in the right trees.
It feels heavier, it feels stiffer, but like we're not actually losing any kind of speed on that.
No, we're still swinging at 120, but it's really allowing us to be, so the last 2 has been 0.4 left and 0. So what it's allowing us to do is neutralize your club path variance.
Lovely.
336 total. And at your speed, to just say, I'm gonna live in the 170s plus be spinny and not take advantage of that extra speed is costing you strokes.
Okay.
I just want you to feel the difference of what we were trying to do here. And this is what we're kind of meaning for fit to straight, is you now have that softer shaft, you have that, think about that head is resistant twisting. So it wants to go this way.
Yeah.
You
Okay,
have
that
to
makes
make
sense.
it go over.
Never really thought about it, to be honest, that way. I mean, you can feel the difference, see the difference straight away there in flight as well.
So this is
Okay.
where I'll tell Jacqueline you hit your driver 297, and the driver we fit you into, you hit 338.
Okay. Is that okay though?
I mean,
Is that fine?
if you don't want 40 yards, we can find a shorter one.
Is that all right?
So we managed to get a good launch, but rather than peaking really high, the ball flight was much more in this direction. So much more of a rainbow trajectory. Now the advantage of that is when it actually hit the ground, it carried on running. Little bit of an exaggeration there, but you get what I mean. And the GT3 fitting was a really good example of what it's like when you're in the hands of an expert fitter. Because during that session, the strike did change a little bit, but not massively. Swing direction was pretty much the same, club head speed was pretty much the same, but we tweaked the loft, the lie, where the COG was, and the shaft, all to give a complete difference in the ball flight.
Now the human factor remains whilst picking a driver, and going from something which was really forgiving to something which is a little bit more distance orientated, it was a slight worry. But over the past year, I've been actually surprised at how forgiving the GT3 is. It's just a really good all-rounder, especially from the heel. And that was one of the weaknesses of my old club. And I've really not changed anything in the setup of the driver apart from the shaft. So I've recently gone back to the Fujikura Ventus. I just like it. But whatever happens, when you go and get fit for your own driver, use this video, use the table which we so artistically drew to help inform your decisions and understand how you can tweak those different factors with a fitter to get the very best driver for you. So I went for my fitting at Woburn last year and I came out with the T150s after an incredibly intense day of hitting shots. So from that fitting, I wanted an iron that felt great, obviously, but I wanted something which was a little bit more forgiving, that gave good distance and good ball speed, which is why the T150s came out on top for me. Now, this isn't an unusual approach, even amongst some of the very... Sam, if you'd have missed that hole in one. Even amongst tour pros, so many of them are not using blades. The bladed club isn't dead, but it is very much on the endangered species list.
Now, I am very much in favour of getting you guys, most golfers watching this, into the most forgiving iron possible. That is going to help you get the ball up in the air. But there has been an explosion during the past decade, well, past 15 years really, of the player's distance iron. Now, this is something which looks a little bit more compact, a little bit sleeker, but still offers a really impressive amount of ball speed and distance and forgiveness while being in a bit more of a nicer looking package. But then, after that, you move into the better player irons. Now, these are more compact, more of that muscle back design, the ones that I favour the most. Interestingly enough, most tour professionals, 80% in fact, use a blended set of irons. So not just blades. They actually allow themselves a little bit more forgiveness as they move up through the bag. So if those guys are investing and they're using more forgiving clubs, then probably you should as well. So the T150s are slightly different than the T100s. They have a 1 degree stronger loft, which gives me a little bit more ball speed. These irons just launch a little bit higher as well. But the differences between these and the T100s, it's not that vast. Now, during the fitting and afterwards as well, my main goal was this. Now, this is my distance chart, and I take this out with me on every single round that I play, certainly in competitions when I'm really focusing. And what I try to do with my irons, with my lofts, with everything about approach play is give myself good distance control, give myself a shot for every kind of instance that I might face out on the golf course. Now, this is something that the very best players do. You know, they have a real in-depth knowledge of how far that they hit each club. And it's all about that improvement in approach play. Like 2024 for me was maybe my worst year for approach play, whilst 2025 was a massive improvement. And obviously this year, I really want to try and continue that trend. Oh, just imagine a hole in one there. Just imagine it. Just imagine it. Keep on imagining it, because that's messed. Now, in this video, I've spoken a lot about getting fit, and you know, we have lots of images here of me getting the best advice from some of the best minds in the game with Titleist. But if you're thinking of buying a new set of clubs and you're going to invest a lot of money within your bag, then please try and get fit. No matter where you were in the world, apart from some real outlying places, the chances are you will have access to a big brand fitter. So take advantage of it if you can. JD's been talking non-stop about these for like 2 days. Is it like a... Oh, it's non-carbonated. So it is literally just Gatorade in a can.
It's incredible. It's the best thing you've ever tasted.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's Gatorade in a can.
What's our preferred shot shape here? A little cut, a little draw, a little straight. What are we into?
It's a bit weird. So with my irons, definitely a little bit more of a draw.
Okay.
But then as soon as I switch onto my wedge, they seem to be kind of a
Does
little
that bug you?
A little bit.
I love that. I want you to hit this a couple times. I just want to look at direction with this.
Okay. It's the first time in my hands.
What do you think?
Looks like a absolutely classic, beautiful golf club, doesn't it?
That is always the plan. Don't
Oh.
change what works.
What a lovely girthy grip as well, that is. Thank you.
Just for you. How'd that feel?
Yeah, that felt good.
All right, so look at the direction that's going in.
Yeah. It definitely went, it was definitely straight.
It went on the line and it held its line.
Yeah.
Right? The nice thing about that is when we can get that ball not only flying on the line we want it to go, and when you look at really good ball flight, when you look at really good players, they tend to be straight to maybe ever so slightly draw bias, right? Flight comes down, spin increases, and carries pretty much plug and play.
Yeah.
If you get a little cutty, we allow it to go a little higher, we lose some spin, and the carries are a little bit irregular or erratic. That was really good. That was 126. Good spin numbers, but I just loved how it stayed on the line.
Yeah. It's one thing like I've noticed, I just want that, going to the events and watching like the really good wedge plays, they all have, like a lot of good players like hit a cut like standard, but that little like just shaped draw with the wedges, it just, the control of it looks so much better. I've never really had that shot. I'm trying to work it in a little bit, but although they just missed the range with that one, so we can ignore that one though, can't we?
All right, we're gonna start over. Things we're gonna focus on today: contact, flight, and spin.
Okay.
Those are the three things that we know will give players positive shots. We've done this before together, but I've watched your play and I've seen how much better things have become, how much better the scores are. And I've watched you a lot of your wedge sessions, and you look comfortable. You look confident.
It was better. It was better.
Yeah, so what's going to be fun about that is we might find some versatility today, right? We might change some things up that open up a few additional doors that we didn't have the last year or so. Maybe find something that fits 80% of the golf courses we play, and then one that's a little bit unique and different that as golf courses change, we have something to fit alongside that.
Lovely.
So we're going to start with this little fella here. This is his pitching wedge.
So pitch wedge of 45 degrees.
Yep, 1 degree weak, T150. How far would this one go?
It's kind of like my 145 club, really.
Okay. How would you rate that?
Yeah, that was nice.
Nice direction on that one.
Yeah. That's a shank. That was a pipe, a Tom Hanks, a lateral shot, a goodbye, see you later, a confidence destroyer, a planet ender. What else?
How many one-liners do we have? I'm kind of impressed. That sounded great.
You get 145 from that.
145.
Okay,
145.3. I mean, close enough, right?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where certainly this year, last year my wedges were a lot better, but still my approach play, my distance control.
Yeah.
You know, when you know you can get a lot better at something, it's just, this year's the year that I finally figured that out.
I like that shape so much more, Peter.
Yeah.
It just kind of, it really matches what you're doing with the irons.
Yeah.
I'm looking for about $130 on this one. Does that sound about right?
$130.
About 130?
130.
That sounded solid.
Yeah, that was good.
We're really looking to make sure that everything's pretty tight
Yeah.
in terms of carry numbers.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of versatility that goes into this one because it's really an extension of the irons.
100%. Yeah.
But I am still looking for something around 13 yards.
Yeah.
Right? So if we're 142 to 145 on the pitching wedge at 45, I'm looking for something around 130.
Amazing.
I think it's a good safe number. That was 27.
Yeah, so we're just going through the numbers with my now old wedges from last year, and just trying to figure out the gapping and just trying to make sure that that's all lined up, because it's just said to Aaron there, so I really want to make sure that I've got right this year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So think about it like this, like if we get the direction right, we're 130 all day.
Yeah.
And what I often tell players is, if I can get you to swing at 85% of your swing, right? This is up top's 100, 105 sometimes if you're feeling frisky. But down below, as we start to swing harder, we don't get quite the return that we expect. And sometimes guys will swing harder, and they'll actually hit it shorter because it just
pops
it goes to the moon. So 131, I feel pretty good about that because I know you can get to it pretty easily.
Yeah. How long would it take, do you reckon, to get every single iron in the bag and wedge like a 10-yard increment?
How long would it take?
Yeah.
For a ball striker like you?
Yeah.
Not long.
Not long.
If I had a loft and line machine on the range, it'd be fast. It'd be like when you're watching Formula One and they come into pit and the tire change. I'd have guys on the loft and line machine, and you'd be back in to hit. Send that car back out.
Oh, what a dream. That was pretty good.
Okay. And I like the rhythm on that last swing. I mean, it was beautiful. And look, what number did I say I wanted?
131? 130?
130.
Look at that.
Okay.
130.1 carry.
Yeah, I mean, you can get better, right?
Would take like
It's that 10th. You're like,
1/10 of a degree.
1/10.
off, that'd be.
I get excited when I see guys swing at that rhythm and pace because the wedge part of the bag is all about rhythm and feels.
Absolutely,
and I mean, you got to hit the shot, right? With the driver, swing your heart out.
Yeah.
But here, we have to rhythmically put that golf ball on a green and give ourselves a chance to putt. So let's hit one more, but I'm digging this right now. Like even that I would consider just maybe ever so slightly, I don't want to say missed, but not perfect.
It wasn't a perfect strike, no.
And it was absolutely tight in the way it moved through the air.
Yeah.
Which I really like. Now one of the things you're gonna notice when you hit these is that for accomplished golf, I mean really for all golfers, when it comes to a shot like this where we're on a clean lie, there is an element of spin that's really important to performance when we talk about giving ourselves a chance to make more putts, right?
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is see a golf ball leave, hit on a green, and shoo, come straight back to the front of the green.
Yeah.
Spin management is one of the things that the tour challenges us every week to figure out, right?
Okay.
When you talk to somebody like Justin Thomas or Jordan Spieth and I give them a brand new pitching wedge, they go, I'll put that in like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I need to break it in.
Break it in a bit, yeah.
The nice thing about the grooves on 44 through 52 on SM11 is it's already kind of done for you.
Yeah, well, yeah, Bob was saying they're kind of like, not flattened out, it's not the right word, is it? But they're just a little bit less intense.
Yes.
So they're not going to be ripping back
Right.
crazy amounts.
What was happening on the approach wedges, the ball was coming up, sometimes it may spin a little too much and get up in the air like that, so we had radiused the edges of the groove on the 40, on the 46, actually 44 now, 44 through 52. We've actually softened the edges so the ball doesn't send it. It gives you the proper flight that you need. And then we went to the regular on the sand wedges, the 54 and 56, similar that we already had there. And the last one is a lobber.
Yeah.
You know, in the 58s and 60s, we're wider and a little shallower. And we're able to get, went back to the vendor, our method, we were able to get 5% more volume, which gave us about 200 to 300 more, more on 300 RPMs.
Oh, nice.
So the goal is how do we make this shot spin just a fraction less so that you know it's going to sit on the green when it touches down.
Yeah.
But I don't want to hurt performance when we get into situations like the rough where we need that spin. And we do that by adding volume and the new texture. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, please.
That one.
That was beautiful. Okay. I'm happy. I like this one so far. Let's talk for a second about this sand wedge. We did 54F last time,
Yeah.
and it's been a good friend, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. Like, if I'm going to hit like an approach wedge shot,
Yeah.
it's probably the one I'm going to go for.
Okay.
Just, yeah, feels like I don't have to work quite so hard with it. I can play a few different shots with it.
Is there a place around the greens or maybe into a green where you're thinking, God, I just wish that I could do this?
Not massively, but in all fairness, like, I don't use this around the greens that often. I'll probably just use my lob. That's kind of like what I'll reach for. So, like, and I'm not 100% confident with this on like a little chip and run shot.
Okay.
Again, probably similar to the lob, just feel like it might just dig just a touch.
Okay.
But, you know, I don't, again, probably more me than anything.
No worries. Let's hit a couple.
Oy.
I love that flight. I know you caught that maybe a hair low on the face, but
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, so we chatted a little bit about grooves, but as we start to transition into the sand wedge and lob wedge category, this is where CG placement plays a big part in performance. There's something fun we're doing with these lofts.
Okay.
We've identified that there is a grind in the matrix of sand wedges and lob wedges that actually flights better than others,
Okay.
and we've taken every CG position there and just put it in that same spot.
Center of gravity, that's so important in a wedge.
Yeah.
You know, important in a lot of clubs, so should we change different center of gravity to where we have to where we used to have them different, you may have a different grind and within a certain loft you may have different grinds. Before we had a different center of gravities, which is dictated by the width of the sole and various things like that, so you're contacting the ball. Pretty tough to get consistent. So what we did with each loft, we have the center of gravity located in the same position, so you won't have any changes.
Okay.
So that's really things. You're going to get the same flight that you need. Flight and spin and feel.
Right, so if you decide today, I like this wedge, I wished it flighted a little bit lower at times, it's going to do that.
Okay.
If you decide I want to go to a 10S or an M, it's going to flight all the same.
Okay.
So the nice thing is we give players the ability to lock in this launch window
Yeah.
and choose a grind that's separate from the launch window, right?
Gotcha.
Sometimes on tour I get a player who will say, I just love the way this thing launches, I'm just going to go with it anyway, and they sacrifice what they're feeling and what the ground and the club are doing together, and we shouldn't have to do that, right?
Yeah.
Should find both.
Gotcha.
How far would you expect this to go?
So I'm looking at this like 120,
Okay.
about 120. That's a good strike.
115 carry.
115, yeah.
Couple things I want to do.
Okay.
I want to pick up a few yards
Yep.
sort of effortlessly, and I want to do that with launch. The other thing I want to do is I want to open up some doors that you're not kind of moving into today.
Okay.
One of those doors is how do we make this club move through the ground cleaner?
Yep.
You tend to use a little more of the trailing edge.
Yep.
So we're going to take that away and let it move through the ground faster.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two is I want you to use it around the greens.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a wedge, right? There's value in it. It could be maybe a soft condition where you're uncomfortable and you're like, the 60 is probably just not going to be the right one. Maybe it's a long bunker shot. Maybe there's grain into you. Maybe your confidence is down. I don't know what the reason is, but when people hit less lofted wedges into greens, they go, oh my gosh, that's so easy.
Yeah.
They forget, right? So we're going to explore that today, but let's make sure that it works here first.
Amazing. Yeah, love that.
Okay.
That was good.
And good swing there.
Yeah.
That was smoked. Great swing there. We're going to change directions. This is a good spot to chip on because this grass is obviously gorgeous, but if we turn a little bit, look at, here's all these flags we can hit to.
Okay. Yeah.
Notice anything there?
Yeah.
Noticeable spin when it landed. But there's a different sound, right?
Yeah.
As your fitter, I'm paying close attention to sound. It's something Mr. Vokey taught me a long time ago. It's amazing how much it wants to stop when it first touches down.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Good.
That's better.
I like that one a lot. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds so different
Yeah.
than the first one. When we talk about how important contact is, yes, it's really important that you hit that spot on the face.
Yeah.
That's what gives you the flight and spin. But at the end of the day, you can't do that if you have the wrong sole, the wrong grind.
Yeah.
I know that was a little thin, a little low, but a terrific result.
Yeah.
All right. I have full confidence in what we're doing right now with this club. I
cool.
like it a lot. Now look,
Yeah.
something that's really fun to do is to hit this club and say, okay, it's good, but this is my go-to. This is my baby. This is my gamer. This is what I pull all the time. And hit that same shot and see if the consistency of the result is the same. Show off.
Yeah. Feel a lot more comfortable kind of opening this one up.
All right, I'm gonna grab something a little different. You've been in this one for a couple of years now?
This is like 12 months.
12 months,
12
okay.
months, yeah.
And it's been a good friend.
Yeah.
But you did mention earlier, you're like, sometimes there's a golf course or two that are a little softer, a little grainier, I'm uncomfortable. We're gonna try something that's just a fraction more forgiving than this. Same body style, but just makes everything a little bit easier.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Well, like I said, the actual ability to use a different club than a 60 around the greens and have confidence in it. And it is just more of a, like I say, it's just faster across the turf,
Faster.
isn't it, through it?
The faster you can move it through the ground, the faster you become as a player and the more consistent the strikes are.
Yeah.
If you slow down just a little bit, we don't get quite the result.
Tugged it. A little bit bottomy on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
How's your bunker play been?
Yeah, my bunker play is always pretty decent. Imagine I played at Los Angeles Country Club the other day.
How was that?
Well, certainly saps your confidence in a lot of ways playing there around those greens. Holy moly. Felt a lot crisper.
Felt pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
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 So the same sort of theory applies, right? I'm watching you hit balls, I'm paying attention to trajectory, launch spin, all that stuff, but what I'm really focusing on is sound
Yeah.
and how we create that really nice sound through contact. If you're delivering the wedge the way you do, you're using a lot of the back end of it.
Yeah.
The wider I make it, the more clicky and bouncy it will feel, and the more you will be defensive in how you deliver it.
Yeah.
So you're slowing the tempo down. You're not making those aggressive positive swings that you should be making.
Yeah.
And I think as a fitter, even you as a player, you think to yourself, you're like, man, I'm just not hitting it great. I need more bounce.
Yeah.
When in reality, you got to go the other way.
Okay.
Because of the way you bottom out the golf club, if I take some of the bottom off, this gets to the ball cleaner and faster. The last thing I want to do is get it hung up in the grass.
There you go. Right.
Oh, come on. Okay, we've got some contenders here.
Yeah.
Kind of like what's going on. All right, let's go over here for a sec. Now, just for fun, because we haven't done this.
4 degrees of bounce.
Give yourself some credit. You're good at this game.
Wow.
You deserve this. You deserve this. All right, I want you to hit a few distance wedges. I want you to feel it through the ground.
Okay.
It is a little different sensation than what you're used to, but what I think you're going to notice is that its main purpose, its job, is to do this better.
Yeah.
Right? This happens occasionally, but this is where it needs to do its best work. And so far, it's proving to be in that space.
So are we thinking moving a little bit more towards a little 58?
Uh-huh. But what I think is you're a great candidate for a 2-lob wedge setup. Okay?
Okay.
The reason why I say that is that you're a traveling player. You play a lot of golf. You don't just play at one place all the time. When you start moving from course to course, you're changing grass, soil, rain patterns, moisture levels, you're changing all that stuff.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do in the heat of competition is change you. You don't have to do that. Let's give you a tool that better fits that condition.
Okay.
It's pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
So you'll have your 80% of the season wedge, which is likely going to be the gamer at 58.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have one other, which is the other part of the season where the courses are shifting. And you might even find that you fall in love with this so hard that this becomes the gamer because of the versatility it gives you when you are using it around the greens.
Okay.
It's a great teaching tool, a great feeling tool, and you learn a lot. I often find that when a player comes to me with concerns or his technique's not where he wants it to be, I'll give him something far away from where he's been.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my gosh, where has this been my whole life? I go, you didn't call me.
Just like there's a lot of strange kind of concepts going on in my mind.
Confusing him.
Yeah. Like I don't consider myself like a bad chipper or like a bad wedge player. I don't think I'm anywhere near as good as I can be, but
I would say you're an outstanding wedge player.
I think I'm learning a lot today though.
I just think if you have the right tools, there are all kinds of doors of possibilities that open up.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you've been in a couple of different options that have been more bounce than you needed or that you should have because you're just not allowed to hit all the shots that you want to hit, right? You're hamstringed a little bit. When you start moving things around, some unique doors open up. And when you start opening up those doors, now we have this confidence that comes with it. And with that confidence comes speed, and with that speed comes spin and launch.
Okay.
Back home, are bunkers a little firm or are they a little soft? Or they could be both.
I mean, around Manchester, look, you got sand in them. So I think generally speaking, most of the courses that I play do tend to be on the softer side.
Okay, well, tell you what, let's try both. Very nice. Oh, that's lovely. Tell me that didn't feel and sound different.
That was really good.
Yeah.
That was really good.
That was pretty good.
That was really good. Oh yeah.
It's just easy, right?
Yeah, it's actually moving through. And it's probably more grind, isn't it? Really, kind of bunker-wise than actual numbers of bounce. But that was just.
The bounce numbers do not matter.
Yeah.
The grind is everything. Feel a little more sand here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this has been designed with like a little bit more sand this side.
That was the plan.
Oh God, where are we?
Great wedge players, great bunker players in particular, are extremely fast swingers in a bunker.
Yeah.
With speed comes height and spin.
Okay.
You can choose a landing spot, right? How are you going to get to that landing spot? If you are slow in the way you deliver, ball's going to come out low, it's going to have no spin. It's going to release a little bit like a putt. If I have you swing a little faster,
Okay.
launch goes up, spin goes up. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
See how much higher that is? How
Yeah.
much softer it falls, how much more spin you get.
Yeah.
And it's a different sound as well.
Yeah, completely. There you go. Bit like that.
Your job, Peter, today is to just do what you do. Let me give you tools that enhance what you do. That's it. I don't need you to change anything. Just be the talented player you are.
You're almost making me too confident, to be honest, Darren. You're almost being too nice.
I'm a confident salesman. Okay. You're just strengthening my theories right now, which is great. I'm feeling more confident than ever.
Okay.
Hope you are too. All right. So to summarize, your pitching wedge, awesome.
Okay.
Getting great things from that.
Yeah, yeah.
I like your carry numbers. When we look at the math makes pretty good sense. The 48, you're actually better at 48 than 49 as far as the carry numbers go. I wouldn't change the model. I think that it's giving you that perfect 13 to 15 yard number.
Yeah.
Then once we get into the sand wedge, this is where we start to make some big changes because you were currently in an F grind, which is a wide sole with a lot of bounce, very forgiving.
Yeah.
But because of the way you deliver, you're using a lot more of the trailing edge. And when the conditions change, whether they're soft or firm, you are impacting the ground before the ball.
Yeah.
And that's usually not a great recipe for a quality result.
No.
So I want to thin that sole out just a little bit, moving into a D grind. You still get plenty of bounce because all the bounce really is right here. So when you're from the fairway or you're square face pitching and chipping, all the bounce and forgiveness lives in that space.
Yeah.
And then when you start getting into a place where you might want to chip it, we add the polishing on the back. And that polishing on the back will open up some doors to versatility, height, and that cleaner contact that we're hearing as the thinner soles are moving through these different places we're testing in.
Yeah, yeah.
And then once we get to the lob wedge, I still like you in the game, or you're in the, I think the V is a great wedge for you. But I really, really love what I'm seeing and hearing from this tee grind.
Oh, I mean, I'm more than happy to. I love the 58 degree as well.
Yeah.
Like that's, I don't think I've ever had a 58 degree before. And that was eye-opening.
Everything is kind of making sense here, right? You have no issues hitting it high. And we talk about great wedge players. We talk about what good wedge performance is. It's making sure that those launch windows are down. We're filling it with technology to do that, but I can also just change lofts along the way and make it even better for you. And we see it in the performance. Consistent carries, spins.
Yeah.
The sound of it moving to the ground is better. We're seeing just better reactions around the greens as well. I love that 58T. I just think it's a good friend for you.
Okay.
And the nice thing is now, as you start to play golf everywhere, you have two great options.
Yeah,
one that works on a soft and one that works on a firm.
So like a 58 in a T and a 58 in a V.
Correct.
So I've just got those options to interchange.
That's right.
54, are we thinking 58, 54, 49?
We're going to go, actually your lofts are going to go 45.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 58 and a half.
Yeah.
Because we need to split it a little bit. This is actually going to go to 53 and 58.
Oh, the 53 degree.
Big changes today, but you know what? If I had told you this was 53, you would have immediately said, I can't hit that high enough.
Yeah.
I can't create height. And you did it time and time again without any hesitation. I gave you 3 shots from here in the bunker where we've got a pin that's, what, 15, 20 yards from us now?
Yeah.
And you landed it as gently as you did with your lob wedge with more spin.
Amazing. Amazing. That's class. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So we have here as well, just to give it a bit of a test. So this club face here, this has been used for simulated 125 rounds as far as like numbers of shots taken and different conditions and lies. We're just going to actually see like what this kind of face wear does, so like spin numbers and how launch conditions, because it's a question that we get asked a lot, is like how often should we replace wedges, you know, when's that point when we should get a new one? And I've seen some pretty wildly contrasting opinions on it, so it would be good to get your advice on it. I've never actually done like this test before.
You haven't?
No.
It's gonna be fun. But there are a couple things I want you to pay attention to. So as a fitter, my first look is at the launch.
Okay.
The launch is gonna determine the spin and the carry. The higher this goes, the lower the spin, the shorter the carry. All the energy is pulled away. It's going straight up in the air. So I'm gonna be paying attention to that. Now, when we tested the other wedges, you were at 33 or less.
Okay.
With 9,000 or more.
And that's got the 38 launch with 6,600
Correct.
spin. Okay.
All right, let's hit another one. Pretty clean there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
36, and I would consider that to be a pretty good strike. 36, 80, 100. Okay. So again, what I'm looking for is this number to be 30 degrees or less. And with your strength and your speed, we're looking at 10,000, right? So you've given away 2,000, and this is a clean lie.
Yeah, yeah.
I put anything on there like water, debris, that's gonna go down even more.
Okay.
All right, so let's hit the clean one. See what it does.
Oh, man. It's weird, isn't it? Isn't it weird?
It's unbelievable how low it is. And you know what's funny, Peter, is we don't, I mean, look at this. 28, 11,000. So it's crazy, right?
And that's basically just new face versus kind of used face.
Yeah, here, let me pull up the shot just before that to show you how different things will be. So here's your first ball. 38 launch, 6,000 and change. It's amazing how different, like when you look at the TrackMan data, you go, oh my gosh, it's definitely a difference, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But when you see it in flight, and it's gonna be hard for people to see it obviously without being here, but this is what it looks like when it leaves, right? So first ball, it looks like this.
Yeah.
Right? And then I give you the fresh face and it goes, whoosh.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much lower it is. Again, it doesn't happen overnight, right? This is a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Right? It slowly happens and you don't think about it because you're just playing golf. Before you know it, what should be your launch window is just over time has done this.
Yeah.
And you've accepted it. You've accepted the fact that your control is lost. You've accepted the fact that you don't hit it as far. You scratch your head and you wonder and you blame yourself, but the reality is spin decay or the grooves breaking down over time through practice and play, you lose control.
How often do the boys on tour actually switch then?
I would say we are looking at 4 to 6 weeks in between each lob wedge. It doesn't apply to every wedge, right?
Yeah.
So in a case of your setup where you have a pitch, you have a gap, you have a sand and a lob, I would say that most players are going to go through 1, maybe 2 pitches and gaps a season.
Okay.
So let's say every 9 months.
Okay.
The sand wedge becomes more of a short game tool, kind of like what I'm teaching you. It has tremendous value here, especially in the bunker. So when these players are hitting bunker shots and they're chipping and pitching and they're playing from the fairways, that groove edge is breaking down, but it's breaking down slower than a 60 because you have less loft.
Gotcha.
Right? So we might go through 4 of those a year. And then the lob wedge, which is the highest loft and produces the highest return on poor play over time through spin, we're going to go through 6 to 8 of these a year.
How many will I go through in a year, do you think? Just so I can let the guys know.
As much as you're playing?
Yeah.
I would expect you to start asking questions every 2 months. You need to start looking at the lob wedge.
Every how many months?
1 month, daily?
But maybe.
Daily.
Okay, the GT280, my mini, my love. Now, if you've watched my videos for any length of time, you will know I absolutely love this club, and the reason it's in the bag rather than a 3-wood is purely down to stats. So last year and the year before, I actually had a look through my stats and my competition results, and it was kind of weird. I only hit my 3-wood 5 times in competition throughout that time period. It was effectively a wasted part of my bag, and that is why I started using the mini. Okay, now one of the biggest questions that I get asked is what's the difference between a mini driver and a full big driver? Let's see. So here's the data for the GT280 in a couple of different formats. So the first 3 drives here are what I would call my fairway finder. So that's the ball teed up quite low, and I'm just hitting a tiny little cut. And you'll see here how the ball is just moving a tiny bit off to the right-hand side. Carry distance is there about 240 yards, rolling out to mid-250s, 260. Now the second 3 with the mini driver, you can see the ball speed is upped a little bit, but also the carry distance has gone a lot higher as well, kind of 260, mid-260s on average, and then rolling out to about mid-280s, 290. Now those drives, I teed up just a little bit higher to get a wee bit more launch on there, but also just to try and control spin. And then onto the GT3, so we have 5 drivers here to compare, just because it fits on the screen nicely. We have a carry distance there, average about 287, total distance at 308. Spin rates here around the mid 2000s, which is where I want it to be, kind of keep it up in the air for a little bit longer to encourage a wee bit more carry. So you can see here there is a clear difference in how far I can carry it with a fairway finder, a normal drive with the GT280, and then a standard drive with the GT3. So between these two shots here, you can see how I'm covering off quite a few different distances. With the mini driver as well, I can hit it off the deck. You know, that is the real clincher for me. You know, if I can hit that mini driver off the deck, I can still attack really long par 5s. Now, as mentioned, it's taken me a couple of years to get my head around what is a perfect set of golf clubs. And the hybrid has probably been one of the biggest surprises. I'd never really been a fan of this particular type of club as a better player. Now, what I mean by that is if you ask any low handicap or a lot of tour pros, when you put a hybrid in their hands, they just have a feeling it's going to go left. And that's certainly how I felt. I'm fading it now. But the key lesson that I learned was shaft. Now, this is a Tensai, it's an X-Flex, but it's a very heavy 95 gram carbon shaft. And what I found is like sticking a really super heavy stiff shaft in the hybrid club allowed me to have a lot more control over ball flight, whilst also utilizing the forgiveness of a hybrid. And the GT3, so the same model as my driver, obviously a lot smaller, it looks good behind the ball and offers just that little bit more forgiveness than a driving iron. And I can also adapt and play different shots with this club. So that is why I don't think I'll ever switch away from a hybrid again. Till next year, I'm gonna change my mind. No, maybe.
Now, with Titleist, you have 3 main premium balls that you'll be aware of. So you have the Pro V1, the Pro V1X, and the Pro V1X Left Dash. Now, throughout all the fittings and over the last few years, the ball I have been using is the Pro V1. Now, for me, it gives me the best balance of everything between distance, spin, and feel. Ultimately, for me, I love the Pro V because, yes, it's consistent, but it just feels really solid around the greens is the best way of describing it. It feels spinny. It feels like it's going to drop, like it's going to stop, what you'd want in a premium ball, whilst also off the tee actually giving me really, really good numbers. So I don't feel any reason to change this golf ball. And also, check out the logo, which is on the side. Can't quite figure out if this makes me look like a raging narcissist or not. However, it does make marking my ball before I tee off a lot easier.
So as everyone knows, I'm the best putter in the world. So I'm currently using the Scotty Cameron Phantom 9. I've got 20 gram weights in the bottom and the overall length is 33.5 inches. Now you'll notice on the top here this design of 2 long thin alignment aids, and using this style of putter was born out of a lesson that I had with Phil Kenyon last year. Now, Phil is one of the best putting coaches in the world, and what we found during the lesson is that really clear and long alignment aids allowed me to get my eyes more over the ball and to see the line of the putt with a lot more ease. Now, over at TPI, we actually had a look at some of the putters in the new range, and the Phantom 9S did take my fancy, just like this putter, just with some softer edges. But I think I'm also going to do a new video on my new putter for the year, because I think there's a much more in-depth story that we can tell about Scotty Cameron, and everyone loves the Scotty Cameron. So this might not be the putter which I play the 2026 season with. I just love new putters. I'm going to be one of those guys that has about 50 in his garage when I'm older. But whatever I pick for my new design, I know that it's going to be a mallet. Now this is a graphic, a collection of pictures from Golf Monthly, a magazine and online outlet here in the UK. And it's a picture of the putters from the top 10 players in the world. Now you'll notice that every single one of them is a mallet design. The bladed putter, again, it's not dead, but it joins the bladed irons on the endangered list. You see, with a mallet design, it's a lot easier to push weight to the extremities of the club. Now this increases MOI, resistance to twisting. In other words, these putters are a lot more forgiving than your standard blade. Even the very best players in the world will misstrike their putts at times. And distance control, speed control when you're putting is by far the most important factor. So if even the very best players in the world who hit the center of the putter more often than not are switching to a design which is more forgiving, I would highly recommend that you try mallet putters yourself. So that is my 2026 What's in the Bag. Get down into those comments below, let me know your current makeup, and let's play some great golf in 2026. Now, Phil is one of the best putting coach. Now, Phil is one of the best